Good evening. It's 6 p.m., November 8th, and I'm going to call the City Council to order. Will you please stand with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll do roll call. Councilman Owen?
Present.
Councilman McGoffin?
Present.
Councilwoman Diamond?
Present.
Councilman Burns?
Present.
Councilwoman Kesty?
Present.
Councilman Allen? And he is out. He let us know that he is going to be away, so unless he makes an appearance here, we will consider him an excused absence. And Councilman Lavaca?
Present.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second that.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Councilman Owen, second by Councilman Lavaca. Are there any discussion or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda, items 1 through 7. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'll second that.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Councilman Burns, second by Councilwoman Diamond. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. No special guests tonight or presentation, so we'll move right into the city administrator's report. Good evening.
Good
How you doing,
evening.
Charlie?
Good evening, Mayor Johnson, Council as well. I wanted to just update you a little bit on the Community Development Grant Program. We're up to 9 applications at this point. And I wanted to ask you as well for a motion tonight to potentially help streamline the process. So what's going on with these grants is we're getting backed up because we've got this public voting requirement that was in our standards that came out of committee and went through council, was approved by council as well. And we had some confusion early on. We tried the first 2 grants, we tried to do voting at the same time, and there were some concerns and complaints about that. And so we've spaced it out to do 1 at a time, but now we're backed up to where if we get our 10th application, they have to wait until sometime in early February to get their project in front of council. So we're starting to get to a point where the voting process is actually making the whole thing inefficient. And if we were to eliminate that, it would save me a lot of time, which is nice. But more importantly, I'd be able to bring these to you a lot sooner, within just a few weeks. And you could potentially approve them or at least consider them, and we could get the money out a lot faster. So if the council is so inclined, I would really appreciate a motion this evening, and hopefully 4 of you being in support of taking out the voting process so we can make this streamlined.
Yes, go ahead.
I would be all for that because I thought it was pointless to begin with, and there was no way of tracking if people could cheat or do different things, go to the different places. So I would love to put a motion forward for that.
All right. So we have a motion by Councilwoman Kesty. Is there a second or?
I'll second.
All right.
Madam
Is there
Mayor?
any discussion regarding this?
If I may make a
Yes,
just
go
quick
ahead.
discussion. I'm wondering if we can still post them up, and so that way they can come to the council if they were so inclined to make a public comment then or something like that without the voting process. I also heard that voting is uncontrolled, so you can vote in multiple areas and it wasn't really controlled. But it would still allow people to see what's going on, projects that are happening or people were proposing. So I don't know if that's a possibility.
I can just comment on that. We have them posted all on the website right now. So
Oh,
that's definitely a place people can go literally in order of how they've come in, including the grant the grant contract is up there as well as the application and the guidance and pretty much anything you want to know about this. So if that's sufficient, then that's great. If it needs to be somewhere else, we can do our best to make that happen.
I'm just thinking, like, if we pull the voting, maybe we just put something right there that says refer to the website for projects coming up or something, just so that it's not just all of a sudden gone. People kind of think the program's different because that's pretty visual. But yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Go
If I
ahead.
may. I'm all for doing that as well. We discussed it in the committee, and I think Councilman Lavaca and I were pretty much in the same mindset that it was not receiving good feedback. So I'm perfectly happy with eliminating the voting process and just bringing it straight to council. I'd like to see the funds distributed so that people can get their projects going.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions? All right, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Kesty, seconded by Councilman McGoffin, to discontinue the public voting for the public grant projects. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, excellent. This will be great for those who are going out for those projects, so thank you for bringing that forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One other element related to the grant program, this one's a little bit more minor, it doesn't require any kind of motion necessarily, but I'd like to put them on consent agenda if the council's okay with that going forward as well. You're going to get them in bigger batches, at least for a little while here. And then you could pull anything off you want to talk about it if you wanted to go there. But I think you're going to see a lot of commonality with the ones coming forward. You're going to see some awnings, a bunch of awnings. You're going to see some painting. You're going to see some fencing, but fairly straightforward stuff that qualifies for, really what we've asked for applicants to do. I haven't seen one yet. Well, I did see one from an individual. That one didn't qualify, but all the others have.
All right.
So,
Anything else?
Yeah, any concerns with that by council? Put them on consent. You can just pull them if you want to, but that way you don't have to talk about every last one of them. Okay, great. That's all I have.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay, expedite the matter. Moving on to council reports. I'll start with you, Councilman Owen. Do you have a report tonight?
I don't have anything.
All right, thank you. How about you, Councilman McGoffin?
No report this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Diamond?
I was just going to comment, we just covered that on the voting process, so that's taken care of and didn't need to happen on my end. The other issue is that I've had a couple people complain about big trucks and semis going down State Street and trying to bypass Highway 20, coming through, probably coming down Highway 9, I would guess, or Highway 20 coming in from Hamilton area, going through town to make its way out. I've had a couple people complain about seeing that through town, worried about weight restrictions on the roads, as well as the fact that they're just not designed for that kind of traffic. So just a heads up there that's been advised to me.
Very good. Thank you. Councilman Burns?
Well, as previously mentioned, we had a Planning and Business Development Committee meeting tonight. Charlie took half my spiel, so that makes it a little easier for me here. We covered the grant program. We also talked about our economic development strategy. I believe at the first council meeting in December, you'll likely hear about the strategy that was developed by the committee. The only reason it's not coming before you for a vote is that we didn't have the final copy in front of us to bring for you. So Charlie and the mayor will hopefully get that into December. Otherwise, I think I've covered it all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Kessie?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Lavaca?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I did meet up with somebody when I went for a walk over at Northern State. I know that's right outside of our area. It was the park right past Northern State and Veterans Hospital. But it was a great one, and we both had dogs, and we talked about the dog park, and I don't know about getting that. Where we have it down at Riverfront, there's a whole park area right there. Nate pointed out when I did a day with him cruising around, and trying to utilize some of that for dog park. I thought that was a great conversation, and they had a lot of good ideas. Also, the website's up, and I tried to get into it a little bit earlier, and I couldn't. I wasn't sure if maybe it got flooded up, but I was in it for a little while, and it was pretty unique. Also, the packets, I wanted to make just note of that. They're easier to read. They're easier to format when I'm looking at them right now, so I do appreciate that. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but yeah.
That's good to know. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback on that. So I only have a couple of things going on, and that is starting on Monday, we're going to be meeting with two candidates for the community director position. I want to thank Councilman Burns and Councilman Lavaca for being a part of that, both in the initial interview, but also as we continue on with that process. So thank you very much for taking the time to do that. And then also I want to remind you that North Star is having a I guess you would call it a council meeting of all the cities, which I believe is happening on the 28th of this month. I did send out information on that. I'll be sending it out again, but just wanted to put that on your radar so you can be thinking about that and possibly making plans to attend. We would love to have you there, love to have your feedback. Thank you very much. Okay, that's all I have. Moving forward with the public comments. There was nobody within the chamber here who signed up for public comment. I'll go online and see if there's anybody. Dennis, are you wanting to do a public comment?
I came in late. I'd like to make.
Sure, come on up.
Thank you.
Yep, you know the protocol, right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Well. I've been really concerned about the speeding going on around the high school. I've made a number of calls to 911. And I also asked for a record of how many tickets have been issued, public records release. And they told me there wasn't any tickets issued or any warnings made. Thank you. Tickets issued or warnings made. I got it back today, and I don't understand that. And I think there's a lot of people out here behind me maybe watching these. I think a lot of people like to watch what's going on because they're so boring on TV anymore. But people watching, if they've got a problem with that, think maybe the police department should be watching the speeders on Woolley Street and on Murdoch, and maybe as far over as the mayor's block there, which isn't very far. It might be a good idea to speak up and let people know that that's not acceptable. We're going to get somebody killed on one of those streets, and the reason is there's no enforcement over there. I have not seen a police car over there since high school started. And this is a 1 month period, the busy period, September and October is what I asked, grouping. And there's no law enforcement over there. There's no cars. And if there are, I'd like to know where they're at. Everybody made a big deal having a police officer or law enforcement over there at the high school. And maybe it'd be better if on the way over there they stopped and wrote a few tickets or warnings. But she said there's no record of any written or given. So how do you track repeat offenders? I don't know. I don't think you can. So anyway, they get out of that high school, and we used to raise a little bit of cane, but we weren't right in the middle of town in our high school, where this town is. And it's a main street, and they're heading right downtown or right down Woolley. And you're going to get somebody killed, and by speaking here at a public event, where it's recorded, people can pull this up and sue the city. It's just ridiculous. And also, I found out today that people people aren't here, but maybe watching this on their screen at home. These packets that you get, I didn't know this till the day, and maybe it was wrong information. Maybe the lady telling me, but she said we can get those. The public can get those packets and follow along with the city council. And I think that would be a good idea if some of them are really interested in what's coming up, if it's going to be interesting to tune in or not. And so anyway, there's only 2 times it's busy over at the high school, and that's in the morning. And I can hear when they start up at 7:17 this morning. The tires squealing, people racing up and down Woolley and on Murdoch. And then the same thing is true about 2:30. You can't hardly make it across the streets there, go across town. And it's really sad because it's so easy to prevent somebody getting killed or crippled or whatever, and it's going to come right back to the police department. You gave them more money 4 years ago. Where are you going with that money? I'm not dumping it on the police chief. I know he's not in charge of everything goes on there, but you got a city administrator over here. I'm sorry, you also got the administration. You got so many entities that should be aware of these things going on and give them some feedback to the police officers, police department. That's really all I've got to say tonight. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Oh, by the way, I'm Dennis O'Neill. I live over 107 Talcott Street, and I apologize for missing that. Thank you.
You provided it. It's good. Thank you. Anyone else within the chamber? If not, okay, then I will ask if there is anybody online who wishes to make comment. If so, if you could raise your hand. All right, seeing none, we will move on to public hearing. And the way public hearing is going to go, just a reminder that the first thing that we do is have the director talk about what the subject matter is about. Then we'll move to public comment regarding it, and then Q&A. And I do see where, for the second item that we're going to be covering in public comment, we do have somebody who's going to speak towards that. So thank you for signing up. All right, so the first one that we are moving with has to do with the 2024 budget property tax levy. And Kelly, there you are on. Thank you.
Good evening. So this is the 2024 budgeted property tax levy. We discussed this once with the Finance and Information Technology Committee. It's very similar information. So just some background before we get into it. Annually, the city is required to pass an ordinance authorizing the budgeted levy for the next year. This ordinance, along with other documentation, then gets provided to the Skagit County Assessor's Office. So every year, we can increase our budgeted levy by up to 1%, plus banked capacity, plus new construction. And we've documented in here some restrictions to the 1%. If the IPD, which is the implicit price indicator, isn't up to 1%, we can't levy that full 1%, only up to that amount. And the IPD is just another way to measure inflation. So that's just to ensure if inflation is low or negative, cities and other jurisdictions can't levy that additional 1%. We can also levy banked capacity, which is basically the amount that we have banked from prior years from not taking the maximum property tax that we're allowed. Currently, we have $11,271 of banked capacity. So this is in a normal year. Those are the restrictions on property tax. As you all know, we currently have a levy lid lift. So the only way we can go above those restrictions I've just described is going out to the voters. So that is currently still out, and because we do not know the results of the election yet, we're presenting two possible options, although there are several. So the staff recommends either approving the levy lid lift option if it passes in the election, or the 1% plus banked capacity option. So I'll go over those in a little more detail in a moment, but first just wanted to give you a quick timeline. So today, November 8th, we're doing the public hearing, which is required, and the first read of potential ordinances. At the November 21st meeting will be the second read of the ordinance, and hopefully pass, because on November 30th, we are required to submit information to the county assessor. If we don't submit information by the deadline, we'll default to the amount that we received this year. So just wanted to give some background on that. Attached is a document with the multiple options we have. On the first page of that document that Bill has up there, on the far left is our 2023 budgeted levy and what we expect to collect this year. In the middle column there is with the levy lid lift. So with the levy lid lift, if it passes and this is selected by the council, we expect to budget about $4.69 million in property tax next year. And if it does not pass, we are recommending the far right option, which is taking the maximum allowed levy, which includes the 1% allowable increase and our banked capacity. On the next page, we just give some more options, and you can see on the headers on each of them what those options are. So just wanted to provide as much information to you as we can. And then the next two documents in here are just examples of the two options we recommend for ordinances. So option one being if the levy lid lift passes, accepting what the voters agreed or voted on. And option two, if it does not pass, is the 1% increase and banked capacity. And that's everything I have for you.
All right, thank you, Kelly. So then I'm going to open this up for public comment. Is there anyone within the chamber here who would like to make public comment regarding the 2024 budget property tax levy? Okay, seeing none. Anybody online? And I won't be able to see if anybody is online here. I'm hoping that actually, Bill, you would be able to help me with this if there is anyone who's raising their hand.
No one is there.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, seeing none, no comments, we'll move on to the council Q&A. And this is your opportunity, council, to actually ask questions or make any comments that you would like to about this. Is there anyone who would like to make comment?
Thank you,
Go
Madam Mayor.
ahead, Councilman Lavaca.
So it looks like what the, we weren't really know what the, until the levy lid lift is in there. But if the levy lid lift isn't in there, then you're asking for those options of our actual 1% banked or nothing. Those are the options. So, and I think we've had that discussion in the past about like the banked and the 1%, and it was pretty thorough a year ago, not quite a year ago. And so I guess we're just waiting to see how that turns out. Really. There's no
Yeah.
vote, no motions or anticipated, right?
No, this is first read, so yes, go ahead, Councilman Burns.
And from what I've seen in previous elections, all the ballots will be counted by then, by the 22nd, so we can get you an answer in time for you to get to the auditor, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, very good. If that is it, then we will close this public hearing and we will move on to the second public hearing, which is the 2024 utility rates. This would be ordinance 206023, 206123, 206223. Again, this is a first read, so there's no action tonight. So, Mr. Bush, are you going to take this?
I am.
Perfect, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Public Works Director Mark Freiberger is out on bereavement leave, so I'm picking this one up this evening, and if there are questions I can't answer, I'll take them back and we'll get them answered for you. But this is our annual utility rate review, and we are recommending some increases to the rates, as was the discussion that you all and the presentation you had at the last work session, as well as the Public Works Committee prior to that, those of you who are a part of that. The amounts are in the fiscal impact section of the agenda memo. The total revenue increase for utilities is 4.2% net, but you've got for sanitary sewer 4%, for solid waste 4.4%, and for stormwater 3.0%. I know Mark and the team discussed a lot of this in detail with you previously, so I won't belabor that. But the things that drive rates are tend to be the cost of inflation on goods and services, and CPIU increased 5.4% in Sedro-Woolley over the last year. The cost of increased regulations by state agencies, and the cost of to replace equipment and infrastructure that deteriorates over time. So that's really what drives our rates, and there was an extensive analysis done to get to this point on these rates. So happy to take any questions when the time comes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bush. So I'm going to open this up for public comment. And I saw Corinne Hamburg. Do you have something you'd like to say? Yes.
Hello, my name's Corinne Hamburg, 620 Township Street. I just, first of all, want to thank Madam Mayor and Council for really considering your rates and also your levy very seriously. As you know, there's a lot of uncertainty in the future as far as, housing costs and inflation, and these considerations especially go in when it comes to our annual budgets. Just something from a utility standpoint that I really want to emphasize or kind of have some forethought, and I'm sure that your staff has brought this to your attention before, is just the forward thought and thinking of your capital improvement plan and long-term planning as far as rate studies are involved, as well as what affordability is in the realm of rates. Typically, a wastewater utility rate of about 2 to 2.5% medium house income is considered the start of what is considered burdensome by EPA. So there's just a lot of things as far as that goes, as we move forward and things are becoming more and more expensive and more difficult to acquire, especially in the utility realm, that we also are discussing affordability and comparison within our area of utility rates. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. And again, Bill, I'll defer to you if there's anybody online who has their hand up.
None visible.
All right, thank you. Then we will open this up for the council. Any Q&A, questions, concerns? Please feel free. Councilman Lavaca?
I think we had a pretty good discussion at the workshop of this guy, and it was just a matter of hearing what the public hearing was and then going through and looking at those numbers. But the workshop was pretty descriptive from the packet that Mark provided.
Okay, great, thank you. Anyone else? No one else, okay. So I will close this public hearing. I do want to encourage the council that because there is 3 different ordinances involved in this, so just so you have it clear in your head what these ordinances stand for, just have that opportunity to review them and know what you're actually voting on when you vote. So thank you. Okay. Unfinished business, there is no unfinished business, so we are going to move on to new business, and that would be the Community Development Grant, Happiest Teas on Earth. Mr. Bush?
Thank you, Mayor Johnson, Council, once again. So this is a grant application that was our 3rd application that we received and has made its way through the process, went through the checklist that we've developed to look at these grants to make sure that they meet the criteria laid out by the council, and also went through the public voting process for a couple of weeks. This particular grant focuses upon, once again, external improvements to the building. And you can see in their application what they're planning to do. The main focus is an awning and basically redoing an awning on their building. And they would also fund some brick and mortar, basically some brick repair and possible planter boxes if money allows. So this request is for $8,500. It's not for the maximum $10,000 and meets all the criteria. And so we're recommending approval, and it's here before you this evening.
Okay, are there any questions? Any comments? If not, go ahead, Mr. Lavaca.
I just wanted to thank them for putting this forward. This is a great project for this awning, and this is a huge difference for this community if it's how they plan on doing it. So I look forward to seeing it complete, and that would be really awesome. It's right on the main street.
All right, thank you. Mr. Burns, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was going to make a motion to approve.
Perfect. Okay,
I'll second that motion.
thank you. So we have a motion by Councilman Burns, seconded by Councilman Lavaca to approve the Community Development Grant for the Happiest Teas on Earth. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Fantastic, motion carries. All right, moving on. Our next meeting will be November 21st, the week of Thanksgiving. Isn't that incredible to think about? So we will see you then. Until then, we are adjourned. Thank you.